Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDF 44 coming at you with another video. So, um, yeah, therapy session number 4. I woke up this morning um, dealing with obviously everything I've talked about. And I noticed in the last therapy session when I made the video, thing about those therapy sessions is like I'll make them, leave them up there, maybe not even listen to them right away. And it turned out that the last therapy session and the previous therapy session, literally duplicates. Basically the same concerns and the same things I had to say were the same exact things. So if you see that video and you're like, he's saying the same stuff, I know. I listened to both of them yesterday back to back. It really was me saying the same stuff. Thought it was kind of interesting. But I think that also speaks to how simple my problems are. You know, how simple these issues are. That they're not vast. They're not a lot of different stuff. It's just I need a bag to take care of bills. Deadlines have hit, you know, car taken, in apartment, all of this. And you know, it's all about the stock. Of course, as I mentioned in those videos, me trying to hold those shares, me not wanting to go back to work and trying to balance all that at the same time. You know, now we're at a place where if I'm going to get the car back from repossession, I need to go ahead and drop $1,400 on that right now, pull that out of the account, and have that ready for Tuesday, because you know you need to leave time for the transaction to transition from one account to another. Now I know for a fact that it's pretty instant. It takes a day, and my deadline is Tuesday for that. But I woke up this morning, the stock was down 7%. And it's funny because like earlier in the week, I was making breakfast. The stock had rose up about 3 or 4%, and something told me to take out what I needed right then. Something, you know, in your mind, you're like, it's probably a good time to do it. And it was. Looking at the stock and how things have gone since, if I were going to do something like this week, that exact moment probably was the best time. And it's just like, you know, when do you know when to trust that voice, I guess is what I'm here to say. Because that same voice, I'm not going to lie to you, that same voice has led me in good directions and it's led me in bad ones. And it seems like after the fact, when I pay attention to that voice, it leads me astray. After the fact, when I've ignored that voice, it's the right thing for me to do. So it's like, I don't know. A lot of people say you trust your instincts, but my instincts told me to get in this house and not go back outside. Like, quit my job and then sit here every morning waiting for the squeeze that never came. And I'm not saying it's never going to come, but just in the time that I thought it would, or was hoping it would, leaning on it would. You know, I was hoping that, you know, I would never have to go back to work, as you guys know. Hoping I would never have to put back on that uniform and feel what I feel when I put it on. And I guess that's where I could take it. You know, I don't know if I've ever really discussed that, but for me, like, putting on a uniform, it's not degrading or anything. It's not about the pay. I'm humble in that way. I've made more, I've made less. That's not about that. It's about, for me, walking around in a uniform, working around in wearing a mask that isn't me. You know, there are a lot of people out here who live their lives to be enforcers, to be bruisers and fighters, and people who stop people from doing other things, protectors and all of that. And while I have some of that in me, as a professional, that's not my natural state. That's not who I am as I walk the streets, as I walk my life. I'm an artist, etc., etc. Music, videos, as you're seeing me do this here, this is more so who I am than that. So when I went into security, it was at a time in my life where I didn't really know where I wanted to do, didn't really have a direction, and my mother's friend just kind of let me know of a program that EDD had, which is the government assistant program here for the state. And since I was on EDD, which is unemployment at the time, I qualified for that program. So with all I had going on, which was nothing, I figured, what the heck. So I did the program for a couple weeks, got my certifications in security, and not long after that, some very, very lucky situation happened where my best friend's wife left her job and they needed an opening to be filled right away for a position there. Not necessarily the position she was filling, but like the last thing she was doing before leaving was making sure that position was filled. That was her job. So she hired me as her last thing to do for the position. So it was just fortuitous. I get this security program done, and in a couple weeks a job pops up for the most money I ever made in my life at that time, which was like $17 an hour. So I was really happy about the job. I couldn't wait to do it. I was happy about being a security guard, and I did the job and stayed there for 3 years. It didn't go great. I ended up hating it at the end, but it was a blessing for me and did a lot of things for me and turned me into the person that I am today in a lot of ways. Some of the relationships that I had there extremely pivotal for my life and for who I've become. So a lot of things happened in security that went well. I stayed in that field for many years, as I've said, jumping from different firm to firm. Different things happened in my life. Mom passed, dad passed, nieces passed, grandma passed, everybody passed, right? So I'm watching all of that happen, and I'm going through security, and I'm just doing these various jobs, and every time I go to these different jobs, it usually starts off well, but I end up hating it. I end up getting burnt out of it over time, and they usually don't take long, right? I'm just burnt out. And just wake up in the morning and hate my life because of the job. That kind of thing. Every time. And so I end up staying at this place, letting it get to a certain point, and then I exit. Whether it be to retreat to this apartment and stay here for long periods of time, unemployed, depressed about it, and in confusion, or for a couple weeks, and then I'll get back to work. That's the cycle. It's one or the other. So, excuse me. So this last time, obviously, I've documented that I worked at Santa Monica, dealing with a lot of people that were mentally ill, who were not getting help. Dealing with a lot of pressures that came from just me being involved in this AMC thing and anticipating it doing well and it not doing well every day and hoping that it would change my life every day, and waking up to days like this where the stock is down and crazy. And then just, letting that kind of send my mind into a space where I couldn't handle shit. Just spazzing out, not really being myself, smoking too much weed, not feeling upbeat, but I kept praying throughout the whole process. And near the end of working in security at Santa Monica Place, I was praying every day that the Lord would get me out of security. Please deliver me from this field, not just this job, but this field, because I didn't like how I felt putting on a uniform. I didn't like how people looked at me with the mask on and the whole cop uniform. I didn't like that energy. It was a lot of stuff. We were enforcers, obviously. And this is the pandemic era, so I'm telling people not to eat, put their mask on, do they have their vax cards, all kinds of stuff like that to enforce the times that we're in. It's just, it got to a point where the negativity I started getting from people every day, certain instances where people would, lash out, call me the N-word, or lash out and try swinging at me, or something like that, where it wouldn't even be nothing involving the public. It would be something going on with the guards where we'll send each other in different directions, and the confusion will be so bad, and the changes with the job on the internally could just be also a part of that stress for me. So it just became something that just made me hate being there, being in the uniform, and ultimately hate the field as a whole. Just having done this for so long and been so unhappy in different places, different situations, it just got to a point where I had had enough. And that was that. So, knowing that I have to go back there to try to fix my situation. Not necessarily to that job, but to that cycle of being in the guard uniform. Maybe liking it early. Just being in that cycle. It's it's an unhappy thing to accept, I guess. But what's also unhappy is what's happened because I haven't worked. That's also equally unhappy. Obviously, the car situation, my living situation, my bills. I took a look at my bills, and it's just like, it's beyond me, bro. It's more money than I can give them at this time, and it's just so much to do. I have so much to do. That's the thing about me. I'm used to doing things that make me comfortable. Obviously, I stay in the house, make life as easy as possible. And when there's a lot of steps to do a lot of different things, it's hard, to say the least, to do it alone, And that's the problem. It's I just need some assistance, just honestly. And I'm afraid to ask for it because I've already told my family I didn't need the money when I really do. it's one of those type of situations. I think I already discussed that, but like I really do need the help. I need it, but I'm just not able to get it. So now the stock is dipping hard. It's probably at like 7% or lower right now on the day. Like, and I'm supposed to be extracting like almost $2,000 from it today for the various things that need to be taken care of today. It's just a horrible time in my life, given that I've spent my entire year trying to put together this position. I've let my finances and my credit go to nonsense, just to the floor with these repos this year and with these different decisions that I've made to just try to hold these shares for dear life, you know what I mean, and not go back out there and face what it is that I'm so unhappy doing, you know. Is that so bad? I don't know, maybe it is, right? Because a man's supposed to get up and do what he got to do. I don't give a fuck if you hate it or not. You get out there and you do it. There's people out there in wars. There's people out there in poverty. There's people out there dealing with all kind of shit, right? So yes, it is so bad. And that also is part of it, to where I end up feeling even worse because I can accept that, yo, you're being weak. You're not being strong. You're not being a man about your shit. But it's like, then I have to be honest with myself and say, my thresholds is my threshold, you know what I mean? I can very easily get mad at myself for not being double jointed, you know what I mean? I can bend my finger all the way to back to touch my wrist if I want, but all I'm gonna do is injure myself. I'm not capable. So it's one of those type of things where it's like, you can kick your own butt for your threshold of what you can handle or for what you perceive you can handle, but you're only one person, right? And at the end of the day, if the hope is to make yourself feel better, staying in the cycle of beating yourself up for what it is you don't feel you can handle, or what it is you're failing to be strong in the face of, only makes you weaker. It doesn't make you stronger. So that's the fight I'm also in, to try to be patient with myself and not let that continue to compound more negativity. Accepting losses, things of that nature. Taking a day like today and saying, I'm not going to die because of it, you know? Looking at something like this and say, if I have to cut my position in half, and if this thing goes to the moon and I still am working a job that I don't like, it doesn't necessarily mean that I have cancer. It doesn't necessarily mean that someone passed away. You know, there's levels. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it ain't that serious. It is that serious, but it's not something that you should over judge in regards to how serious it is. So the balance is what I'm looking for, I guess, as I'm speaking to this phone. At the end of the day, man, bringing that car back to myself is just a bigger bill. I'm just going to be honest with you. Without plans to go back to work and actually use the car, it's just sitting there draining me of more money, more of my position. This is the beginning of my issues, not the end of them, if I bring the car back and don't get back to work, redundantly speaking. So it's like I have to mull over that. And I don't have time. It's either you get back to work and get the car, bring the car in, let it bleed, don't have the car, and then definitely need it at some point. And then I think about, what if I do find myself in a situation where I'm evicted, which probably shouldn't happen, because ultimately I do have the funds to represent that situation. But if it were to come to that, I don't have a car to take care of myself. I don't talk to anybody. I don't have friends that I can say, yo, come get me. Let's like, I'm not in communication with even my best friends because of how I've been this year. So I would be calling on people I haven't talked to all year to ask them to help me shelter myself and put myself in a position to help myself. And see, this is why I say to you people, like, if you have concerns with your mental health, if you have anything that you need to address right away, do not let life fall apart. Don't let yourself, especially if you're alone, if you're someone like myself, where you don't have people in your life like that, you don't really keep close people, don't let your mental health get too far out of concern, because there's always something new you have to react to. You know, here I was sitting there stressing over my car, and then it turns out I needed to, you know, have money for something else at the exact same time, unexpectedly too. It's like, you can't just be down for one thing, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to come. It's going to try to knock you down too. You just got to be sharp and adamant about what it is that you're doing, and don't lose focus of what it is your purpose is. My purpose is to fight corruption and make a way for myself so that I don't have to work again. That's why I made all these sacrifices. You know, that's why. It's not necessarily anything other than that. I hoped that things would get to a point where they are doing well, but when you join a fight against corruption, you're gonna have to deal with situations that aren't fair, and that's what it is. Any civil fight of any kind, civil rights, financial rights, people rights of any kind, when you're joining a fight, you're gonna have to take your lumps. You know, there's no guarantee you walk out of it unscathed at all. It's a fight. So this is not a situation where I'm jumping into this situation saying, yo, it was definitely supposed to be right and it definitely didn't work out and now I feel duped. No. I just think that it would have been great if I knew exactly what I was in for, so I could have done a better job of preparing myself mentally for it. But such is life. I think having this decision on my plate today, I feel alive, really alive, you know, because at the end of the day, not many days do you wake up and have this much going on that feels this hopeless, poor. Like, you know, you wake up some days, like if you're me, I'm speaking for myself, you wake up some days and you feel bad, but life is bland. You wake up to the same apartment, same concerns, same stuff, same prayers, same food. Like, I live in a loop, right? So when stuff like this happens, that literally shakes my world loose, it snatches me out of that loop. And in some weird ways, it's almost like, oh yeah, there's a real world out there. It's not just all I'm able to see and all I'm able to be a part of and all the things that I'm focused on. It's like, oh yeah, there's real stuff out there that I need to be a part of, instead of looking at it from afar and just lending an opinion to it. And see, that's what I do. I sit in my space and surmise everything else, and then let my imagination kind of run with that. That's kind of how I operate, or let my logic and the things that I've learned kind of help me come to conclusions. But rarely do I allow myself to actually be a part of. It's not my name involved in these things. You feel me? That kind of thing. But when it's my name involved in these things, and it's when the pressure's on me and behind my eyes, I have to use my logic and my thoughts and my actions and my mouth to make things happen. That's when it becomes a different, unique type of thing for myself to be involved. Like, oh, well, now I'm in. Okay, now it's different. And that's why I try to be patient with people when judging their situation, because you don't know what you would do until you're in a situation. You don't know how you would act until you're actually in those shoes, making those decisions with those pressures on your mind. And it's like, you get more credence to mental health, you get more credence to people making mistakes, you get more, not credence, but leniency and more patience for those type of things. So it's worth saying, I guess. But yeah, man, I thank y'all for paying attention to me, sticking with me through these therapy sessions. They're very selfish on my end. I don't expect to entertain others, or, you know, this is not for your entertainment. This is so I can get stuff off my heart, because I ain't got nobody else to talk to in this regard, you know. That's literally what this is for. I upload it because I'm trying to mold this thing, this BDF thing, so that my audience and my relationship with the audience, or my relationship with my image, and that's an interesting way of putting it, but that's exactly how I equate it. My relationship with my image must be organic. And what that means to me is, whatever it is that's really going on, that's exactly what I want you to think is going on. That's the lane I'm trying to build for myself. Like, not necessarily telling you too much, letting you in on stuff that you don't care to know. Not necessarily. I'm not trying to be an oversharer per se. But in this reality-based world, where if you're famous, your privacy is a fantasy. in this world where people will take what you say in splices and will build an entire narrative off of that. In this world where people lie so much and wear so many masks and hide what they suffer from or what they struggle with while trying to maintain a certain image of strength, as if that actually can translate to actual strength. In a lot of cases, it doesn't. In a world where all of that is normal, I want to be something else. I want to be much more comfortable with being who I am and being famous at the same time. I'm just big on y'all knowing who I am for what it is I am. I don't want y'all to know of an image necessarily. If that image is anything, I want it to be a positive image. I want it to be something that allows you to understand that I'm flawed, that I struggle, that I simultaneously harbor great strengths and great weaknesses. And in this presence of those things, I face my day-to-day. You know what I mean? I face my day-to-day. The struggles inside, the weaknesses inside, childhood stuff that had a lot to do with how I was raised and how I was brought up. All of that I want to be on the absolute forefront for each and every soul who cares to see. It's just the lane I want to be in. It's the one I want to be in. You know, as a person who's been suffering from anxiety and self-consciousness and stuff like that for so long, perceiving certain things that weren't as they were just to fit my insecurities, I don't desire to be somebody that I'm not at all. Not at all. You know, just with all, especially with what I'm going through in this second, however this plays out, whether I take care of it properly or make a horrible decision from here or just have to accept the loss and kick forward, I don't know what is going to happen, but I can honestly say whatever's going to happen, it's going to be me doing it. And the me that you are hearing and listening to is the person I want you to follow as it pertains to the example that I set when I do the right things. And when I hold myself accountable, I want y'all to take that example and say, yo, it didn't crumble him to hold himself accountable. It didn't crumble him to say he was not as strong as he'd like to be. It didn't crumble him to say today wasn't the greatest day. It didn't break him down to reveal his truth to the world, whatever it may be at that given moment. You know, to be absolutely transparent. I think the world wants that from somebody. I don't know if they want anything from me, but I'm saying they want that from the people that they follow. They want truth from the people that they follow. Even if you're going to cancel me, I want you to cancel me because of what I truly feel, you know, not because of something that I didn't build up for you guys to ultimately see and slipped out. No, I want you to know exactly how I feel about things as I continue to define those things as well. And I just think that would be the way to go for me, you know. That's just the way to go. So, yeah, man, that's what I'm on. I'm telling y'all the truth. I'm telling y'all what I'm dealing with. I'm struggling as hell. I'm broke as I've allowed myself to feel. That's the truth. I think there are people who have less than me who feel much better than me in terms of their finances, feel more hope than me. And I think there's some people who may have a lot more than me who may not be doing as good as me this morning. I respect that. I embody the truth and let that be something I deal with as well as my problems. But all in all, it's not going to stay this way. It's either going to get better or get worse. And as it does, I will be here letting y'all know how I play out, letting you know how this goes. And I'm going to turn it into something. All that I'm going through, all that I'm trying to do, it's going to be something. I don't know what it's going to be, but I will be here trying my best to make it happen. So I thank you guys for paying attention to me, letting me babble here, letting me get my thoughts off. I ask that you pray for the people that I care for, the people that I pray for. Of course, I ask that you pray for me, but I think it's so much more thorough for my spirit to ask that you pray for others. That's just more thorough, man. I've done enough damage to myself for me to not be sitting up here saying, oh, please, people pray for me so I can get myself out of this crap I put myself in. Not necessarily. I want you to pray for the people that I pray for, because you know that I'm praying for a lot of people every day. That's what's keeping me going. I may have told y'all this, I may not have, but there's a list of people that I've been accumulating to pray for every single day. And that list has kind of been something that I kind of add to over the last several years. And every time I really get in my prayer zone, I try to send those names up to the sky as well, just to put myself in a position to not think of myself all the time. You know, when we're in prayer and spiritually, oh God, please help me, save me. As I said to you guys, I don't do that to God either. I'll be like, look, God, I made some bad decisions. I messed up. I know what makes you happy is me thinking of others. So this is what I want you to do. Will you take care of these people? And that's how I approach my prayers. And it's kept me going, to be honest with you. I felt stronger for myself personally, and I've seen some good things happen in the lives of the people that I've added to this list. So that gives me some encouragement that I'm on the right path spiritually. And it's a reminder that you're not the center of the universe. You know, someone like myself who lives alone, who thinks alone, it's very easy to feel like you're the only thing that matters. And when you know that of yourself, you got to fight that. So that's what my prayer list is about. So, and that list is pretty long. It's about 50 names now, you know, and it's helped me. It's helped me. I do it for me, to remind myself not to be unselfish. But even though my heart isn't as unselfish as it needs to be, I think the practice of praying for others helps me grow in that area. And as I believe there is a God, I think that He appreciates me doing that. So that's what I try to do, man. And hopefully that'll trickle down to me getting some favor in moments like this. I look forward to telling you guys what the Lord's going to do for me in this situation. That's another thing I can honestly say. When you harbor a certain level of faith, and you've seen things kind of work out for you in the past, maybe even when it didn't go the way you thought it would, you know, you just start to have a little bit of confidence that things start to work themselves out, even if it ain't going to be in the way you think. And I'm looking very much forward to telling you guys how this whole car situation, how this whole apartment situation, how my whole life is going to get, how it's going to get better, you know, in whatever way it does, you know. Because there's been so many times where I felt like this, right? You're sitting in the problem, and then the Lord comes through and just does some miraculous thing, and then I come back on here with all this energy, like, oh my God, look what God did for me. It's like, it would be great to have some hindsight before the blessing, to just simply say, I look forward to thanking Him for the blessing. You know what I mean? Not to affirm that things are going to get better, not necessarily. They could, or they could not, but as they have in the past, I believe they could now too. So, yeah, that's what I'll leave you guys with, a little positivity. I hope that what you're going through gets better too. You know, this ain't just about me or what you got going on. I'm sending prayers up toward you, toward your family, toward your situation. And I thank you for giving me the time of the day, you know, the attention or what have you. Because I need it, not just attention, but just, you know, support right now. It's just, this is what it is. So, my name is BDF 44. Thank y'all for watching. Wow.